Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Henry Ford College Special Meeting. It's Thursday, February 12th at 6 o'clock, and it's 6:02 right now. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bedzi.
Here.
Trustee D'Ambrosio. Trustee Mozeb.
Here.
Trustee Pelichkov.
Here.
Trustee Suboh.
Here.
Trustee Zahar here. Chair Al-Jahmi.
Here. So before starting on the agenda item, I would like to make a statement based on why we're here and talk about some of the items that led us to where we are today. But I do want to say before we start, it's really, really important that based on the OMA, that we don't discuss any person or any candidates. It's this is something that we have to respect the confidentiality and also the OMA on speaking in terms of anyone. So please, if you're talking about the process, if you're talking about anything, don't mention names. Just mention processes and so on. As far as the statement, so last Thursday, a news outlet published an article regarding the College Presidential Search Advisory Committee and its recommendation to the Board of Trustees of semifinal candidates. I like to address a few things that were written about the article, in the article. The 25th person search committee was formed on August 25th. It's made up of students, community members, college faculty, and administrators, representative from Dearborn Public School and the Henry Ford Foundation, as well as 3 trustees. The process the committee used to recommend semifinalists to the board was a democratic process where all members were given the opportunity to submit names for discussion and consideration from a group of highly qualified applicants. If a name offered for consideration did not receive majority support by the committee members, then the recommendation committee member was able to put forth subsequent names for considerations. Ultimately, the committee decided to recommend 10 semifinalists to the board based on the candidate's qualification and credential. And I stress based on their qualification and credential. It's important to remember that the committee job is to recommend candidates. The board then makes the decision on who the semifinalists are. It's also important to remember that this article was published before any decision by the board. By publishing the names of the applicants, the article compromised the integrity of the search process and the confidentiality promised to the applicants until the finalist phase of the search. Leaking names of the applicants undermine the hours of work that the board has undertaken, the time and energy of the committee members who were responsible for sharing applicant information with the news outlet, and might have sparked negative implication of the candidates. The board and many committee members have worked very hard on the process for the selection of the next president. The decision determining the search process was made by the board, the transparency at its public meeting. As the board moves forward with the search, it will do so keep in mind that the community of the South Industry that is served. So in saying this, we really, I commend the advisory committee for the work they've done. We had a great group of people. They put a lot of efforts, looking at 120 resumes of highly qualified people. It took a lot of time and effort, and as people vote, when we entrust people to vote based on them being selected on the advisory committee, we have to respect their subjective view of what a candidate, what a good candidate is for the semifinal. We have different views. Me personally, I selected 10 people, and only a couple of mine were selected from my top 10. I didn't stress about it. We all feel like our candidates were the best, but we have to respect the democracy that was entrusted in us. We cannot question, why did somebody vote for this person or that person? This is the process, and if you entrust a group of people to do their job, then you have to allow them to do it. So I want to thank everyone that, from the advisory committee. I appreciate all the work that you've done all the time. It's a lot of effort, so thank you. All right, so go ahead, next item. Sorry.
So first I'd like to understand the agenda. I have a point of inquiry on the agenda. So if I announce this item, is there a list?
So,
I don't understand this item.
yeah, I figured you would not. The idea for this meeting was to present a recommendation from the advisory committee for approval by the board. The board has received the list, and if you missed it, it's available elsewhere. But the idea is to either accept or discuss the process, why you would not accept it or any suggestion. But we have to start with the motion based on how it was defined, and then we take it from there. So Trustee Mazib.
I've emailed you this morning, Trustee Chair Al-Jahmi, as far as the order of the agenda. I believe to have full information, we need to switch the closed session to be before we vote, and also having a chance to hear from citizens who would like to address us.
Okay.
So,
Prior
and-
to that, we listen, and then we have the information in closed session, then we come back and we do the voting.
So, as I responded to you by text, that it's the board's authority to change the
Correct.
order of the agenda item. I'm still not sure what hearing the community, and it's your objective to motion it. To me, we listed it in this process because we're hearing the recommendation. But if you want to make a motion to change the order.
I'll make a motion to move citizen participation and then the closed session right after, because in the closed session, obviously,
Why would you say a closed session?
we will be privy to the candidates' information, correct?
A closed session is needed if there's further discussion. Now, if you say you need a closed session to discuss details of the candidates, that's different. But if we don't need, if we're questioning the process, if we're questioning how the process was handled.
I'm not questioning anything, I'm just asking a question. So calling for a closed session, what is that for right now?
Discussing the candidates.
Yeah, I guess-
If we have to, hold on a second.
After we vote for them?
No.
No.
If we need to
Well,
discuss in details the candidates,
Can I just interrupt?
please do.
If you vote, if the motion is made, because that's what the original intention of this meeting was to, after the semifinalists were selected, the board is required to come out in public and accept those recommendations and vote on them.
Correct.
That's the original intention of this meeting. The closed session was placed on there because there became some controversy that was brought into the community and the search process. But you can only go into the closed session if we kept the agenda in the order it is today. You either pulled voting on the original motion to accept and approve, or it failed. And then we could call for a closed session to discuss the candidates. That's the reasoning that you go into the closed session for this.
Chair?
Please, go ahead.
But we
Trustee.
don't have to have a closed session if the vote is taken and
So-
is passed.
If I may, just to be nerdy for a second, this is not kind of the way it should work on the agenda. You don't need to have an agenda item calling for a closed session. A closed session can be called for by any member at any time under pursuant to, a rule.
I agree.
And then, so really, this doesn't need to be an agenda item at all.
It didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an agenda
Agree.
item. The
Agree.
agenda item of voting on, and then if someone makes a motion, then someone can immediately say, hey, I move we go into closed session right now, and we just do
Agree.
based on a vote. So it
Agree.
doesn't really need to be an agenda item,
Mhm.
but I definitely agree with trustee Mosip that citizen participation should be moved up. So trustee Mosip, would you, has he really made a
I
motion?
guess I already
No,
made them.
he hasn't made
I'll
the
make the motion to move citizen participation up the agenda to be number 2.
And would you be open to amending your motion to just delete number 3? Because it's really not an agenda item. Like, if everyone understood what I meant, I mean, we just call
We
for a
could
closed
call
session whenever
for
we
a
want to,
closed- yeah,
whenever
that's
we want
fine.
to. It's not really an agenda item.
I'll accept the
So
amendment.
who's seconding that?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay. All right, I oppose.
I oppose.
Okay, so it carries. So just to be clear, the new agenda will be, right now, citizen participation, and then after that, talking about the candidate list, and of
Not
course.
talking about it.
Sorry, or
Yeah.
somebody making a motion to recommend it. Well, then, of course, there would be talking about it, talking about the motion if somebody makes a motion, and that's it. Somebody could call for a closed session at any time.
So right now, let's go to the citizen participation.
Yeah, citizen participation. Do I have to say that whole speech? I don't have it with me.
It's okay, I don't think.
Okay, the speech is, please don't say anyone's names, huh? Yeah, no, I don't have it. It's okay, but as a general matter, citizen participation, and please let me know if I miss anything legally important when I'm saying it. Citizen participation is meant so that we can hear the voices of citizens during our public meetings. We ask everyone not to say the names of any employee. Oh, you have one? Okay, good, even better. Thank you so much. I'll definitely mess it up. Thank you so much. Citizens wishing to address the board on agenda and non-agenda items for action who have submitted a blue card by 6:10 p.m. or 10 minutes after the meeting started to the secretary may speak at this time. The board may not be in a position to respond to non-agenda items. Therefore, speakers should not anticipate an immediate response to their comments or questions. For the benefit of all concerned, do not mention the names of students or college employees. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. If during those 3 minutes the comments become personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant, your public comment time may be interrupted or ended. Okay, Mr. Chair, I have five? There's all of them, right? Okay, I have 5 cards. The first card is, please forgive me if I get your name wrong, Chardon Claiborne. Did I say your first name correctly, sir? Chardon, sorry. Chardon Claiborne.
To the HFC Board of Trustees, my name is Chardon Claiborne. I'm a full-time faculty member with primary responsibility for directing the HFC Honors Program. I'm also a member of the Presidential Search Committee and a member of Local 1650. I deliberated on my decision to speak tonight, going back and forth. You will likely hear from a variety of voices telling you what to do, and I did not want mine to be another opinion you hear that is swallowed up by the sheer number of perspectives shared tonight. Ultimately, because this has been on my mind nearly nonstop since last week, I decided to share my thoughts. It's unfortunate that you've been put in this position through no fault of your own. The actions of a small number of people have now made your responsibilities greater and more complicated. It's a near certainty that no matter what decisions you make tonight, you will disappoint some people. But that is the price of leadership. I've heard it stated that sometimes, by the time leaders must make a critical decision, all the options they've been presented with are negative. And the goal is simply to choose the option that minimizes the immediate damage and ensuing fallout. You and the majority of the Presidential Search Committee entered this process with good faith and intentions. I will not tell you what to do. I would only suggest you consider allowing the process you originally signed off on to play out in its entirety. Some will argue for a different decision. That is completely understandable. However, I hope you will have the courage of your convictions to see the process through to its completion as intended. In my opinion, your judgment has been sound. I cannot see into the future, but I can imagine scenarios whereby the board is again forced into difficult positioning due to the actions of a small few. You are not puppets. You are thinking, reasoning individuals who have combined to form one body. I believe you take your responsibilities seriously, and while the pressure leading up to tonight's meeting must be immense, I hope you can see a way forward and continue to trust in the process you authorize to guide this search. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Eric Rader.
Good evening, Chair Aljami and members of the Board of Trustees. I speak here as someone who is a member of the Presidential Advisory Search Committee. This is actually my third time serving on one of these search committees. I was also on the search committee in 2012, 2013, and the last one in 2017, 2018. I can tell you that the process that we have been following in this search has been very similar, almost identical to the processes we followed in both 2013 and 2018. I agree with those who say that the candidate pool and the semifinalist pool and finalist pool that you consider should represent the college and the student body that we represent. So I understand the concerns that have been raised about representation, and I share those concerns. I do take this role very seriously to serve as a member of this advisory search committee. Whoever you end up choosing as the president of Henry Ford College is going to impact all of our lives for a number of years. Could be 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. We are looking for a president who has the confidence of all the groups represented on the committee, both internal and external, and obviously you as the Board of Trustees. We have a professional search firm guiding this process, as we've had for every search we've done over the last 20 years. That is to make it as fair and as neutral as possible. The only difference this time is that we have had some meetings on Zoom. Zoom was really not something we knew about 8 years ago or 13 years ago. Just in terms of the process this time, we had a little over 3 weeks to review the qualifications of the applicants. We gained access to the portal on January 12th, 2026, and we had until February 3rd to send our rankings to the chair of the committee. And I want to acknowledge Chair Aljami and the stellar job he's done in making sure that we have a fair process, an inclusive process, and one that honors the spirit of what the board is intending. We were advised at that first meeting, and I actually offered this advice, that you begin the work right away, because academic curriculum vitas, which are our equivalent of a resume, are not short. And so I began that week, and for every day for 20 days or whatever it was, 21 days, I read resumes and CVs and got through them all, but it did take time. And then prior to the meeting we had just last week, we were advised that even though some candidates might be marked as not qualified based on specific criteria, that they could still be ranked. And we did receive that communication both in person in one of our meetings as well as in an email. I did read every single application. I did rank some candidates who may not have met the qualification that we had listed, and I feel very confident that the process that Chair Aljami is leading is a fair one and is giving you the best possible candidate pool to consider for president of the college. So thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Michael Hill.
And just to let everyone know, it's a 3 minutes time limit, and the secretary will make you aware when you're reached there.
Chair Aljami, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Michael Hill. I'm a professor at the college. I am the chair of the Faculty Senate and the faculty organization. I've been at the college for 20 years. I'm also an ethics professor. So that's, I'm here because I'm a little concerned with what is being said about our college. And I want to make sure that I get the opportunity to say, and I'm glad you will listen, that in the 20 years that I've been here, I have never heard anybody question the integrity of this college at this level. I mean, we have our little squabbles, but I've never heard anybody question our integrity. And the reason why nobody has questioned our integrity is because we are a college of processes, we are a college of evidence-based practice, and we are a college of community. And we support our community, and we listen to our community, and we are our community. I am incredibly proud to have been a president, to been a member of this college for 20 years. I've worked at 7 different colleges. This is the most diverse, most open, most transparent, and the college that I've been a part of that practices the most care in the ways we treat each other, the ways we treat our students, the ways we treat our citizens. I'm incredibly proud to be here. I don't really have any recommendations for you, other than to stand up and say, our college is a place of integrity, and I hope that our practices continue that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Lynn Boza.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. I want to, first of all, recognize Jamal Al-Jami for the wonderful work that he did leading the committee, the search committee. I'm not going to repeat what the previous speakers said because I agree with everything that they said. I would like to add that I have been part of the previous presidential search and this presidential search, and that I feel that the process was fair, and the process was very much like the previous presidential search, with the exception of we didn't have 120 candidates that we had to review, and we did more electronically this time than we had done in the past. So I do believe it was a fair process. Thank you for allowing public comment.
And our last speaker today is Hussein Berry.
Good evening, Chair Al-Jahmi, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Ganko. Chair Al-Jahmi, I believe that you're also the chair of the search committee. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And I couldn't agree more than what I heard from Dr. Hill. The integrity of the college is second to none. And like many other speakers, I've also served, actually I led 2 search firms, 2 search committees that, that were, and I remember every one of those members that was part of that committee signing a document saying that this is confidential information. This is not to go out to the public. But any organization or any committee is only as strong as its weakest link. From what I understand, and from what I heard Chair Al-Jahmi mention earlier, the words, the committee has been compromised. So from what I understand, from information I've seen on social media the past few days, is that yes, the Presidential Search Committee has been compromised. Confidentiality is imperative in this process. When top-notch candidates apply for a position in another institution, they do so with the understanding that their application and information would not be public until they're approved and they accept to move forward with the process. The individuals that names were all over social media didn't have that option. At this point, I believe, my opinion only, that you have no choice but to dissolve this committee for not allowing with what I am sure they signed up for. That is the only way to regain the trust from the community that supports Henry Ford College with their time and treasure. And I've heard nothing but negative comments about my dear Henry Ford College out in the community the last few days. But that's not what I'm here to address you about tonight. You have a tough decision. It's not your fault that you're put in this position. Trustee Petrikov, you sometimes refer to me as being vague when I speak. Well, to be honest with you, sometimes you have to be vague to protect others. Even though I plan to be very unclear with my comment, there are 2 people other than myself in this room that know exactly what I'm referring to. For many years, I've noticed that people lie in the political arena. It's never good to lie, but in politics, some people just lie. After seeing the list, I'm assuming that is the list that you can be talking about tonight, assuming because it was on social media and Facebook, so if it's on Facebook, it's got to be the truth, right? I was shocked to learn that people at this level in academia actually lie too. Just blew my mind. I am asking one of those individuals to educate their colleagues on what I'm referring to tonight. And I am confident that this esteemed board would value truthfulness at the helm of this great institution. The next time I approach this podium, if necessary, I will not be as vague. Thank you all for your service to this very deserving college and the college community at large.
Thank you.
That's all the blue cards, Chair.
Any comments from any of the board?
I just want to state my position on whomever contacted the press from the, obviously from the committee. It was uncalled for, it was unprofessional, it was dishonest. And if the college has the means to find who that person is, they should definitely be removed from the committee, because what the harm that they did is beyond repair. They also didn't even account for people's careers and people's livelihoods when you leak such an information. So I'm just disheartened to see that, and that person is, whomever it is very, very dishonest. That's just my comment.
I do want to say, and it's really extreme, and respectfully saying this, to say to dissolve the committee due to the, and I use the word intentional breach, because of not getting the person that they wanted in the semifinalists. To me, that's extreme, and it's really disrespecting, and I'm not talking about the person that spoke, just the word to say dissolve. Does that mean we dissolve the board as well? Because how do we know the board had nothing to do with that? How do we know it's not in collaboration with board members? So to say dissolve the work of the advisory committee, all the work they've done, the effort, because of one person doing this intentionally, because it's kind of like, okay, if you're not happy with the ball game, you take the ball home. And we cannot entertain that, in my opinion, in fairness and respect to the people that put the effort. So I'm very, very opposed to any thoughts of dissolving the advisory committee, just because the intentional breach. Go ahead, Trustee Petlikoff.
Yeah, you know, I said at the last meeting that we had here that ethics and integrity matter, and that one would have hoped they would have been respected through this process. That being said, the candidates who had their names compromised were contacted. They did not say they wanted to leave the process, as far as I understand it. That being said, if we were to disband this process, who would want to reapply, knowing that they had a lack of confidence then in us as a board to continue to pursue the decisions that have already been made by a democratic process, by one that was challenging with the volume of applicants that were received, by a committee made up of a variety of members who all chose a variety of applicants that, and as Chair Ojami said, I had my 10, I think I got maybe 3 that were on. I accepted it and understood that this was the process, and everybody was going to have a say, and everybody was going to get a little piece of the pie. And at the end of the day, we hopefully had a robust group of individuals who had the qualifications that had nothing to do with gender, with race, with anything other than were they prepared to stand at the helm of this college and lead this college, which is a community college, which represents not only Dearborn, but all of Wayne County and any other surrounding areas that students are interested in attending. Our community is not just Dearborn for this community college. And I don't believe that the search necessarily has to be tanked, which may be one of the intentions, a sabotage in order to remove a lot of the competitive applicants that we received. I was astonished. This is my third or fourth time of going through a search as well, and the number was astonishing to me as well, of how many we received. But I will tell you that we had a very full view of resumes that brought a variety of opportunities to this potential leadership role. And I think that we can move forward. I do worry that people will question the decision-making at times, but this too shall pass if we go ahead and make a selection and prove to the community that we made a good selection moving forward, and I'm prepared to do that.
Go ahead, trustee.
So I have a lot to say, but before I say anything, is there, just a point of order, are we talking about this now? Or are we waiting until somebody makes a motion about accepting, the next part and
You
accepting?
have to so this is mainly in response to.
Yeah, I know, I get it, but I mean, if
Citizen
just, I get it, and they brought up all these things, I get it, it's board follow-up, so I'll just say what a few things that I have to say now, and then I'm sure there'll be more to say when if we entertain a motion. First, nobody's talking about tanking the search, like scrapping the search. We are talking about the process that occurred last week and that led us to the result that some of us saw reported. This process ultimately belongs to the 7 of us, and only to the 7 of us. What I mean by saying that is we are the ones who make the decision. Anything that would have come out of the committee, of course, would have been a recommendation that would be very useful to us, but we're under no obligation, of course, and I'm not saying that we wouldn't, but I'm just saying everyone understands that everything that comes out of that committee would be a recommendation. And the 7 of us are the ones that are entrusted legally. So there is no such thing as dissolving the board. It doesn't exist. You can't do it. We are entrusted legally, and we've all been duly seated, and this is one of our primary jobs. This is the only person that we hire at the college. It's one of the things that we are constitutionally entrusted with. I share Mr. Rader's concerns. Mr. Rader said he was concerned about the representation of the pool that was reported in the media. I share that concern. He said that they had 3 weeks to review. Of course, the deadline was, I think, only a few days before the meeting that happened. So people could apply all the way up until January 30th. And I know you guys, I assume you guys were looking at things at a rolling process, but we voted on a process, yes. I didn't vote. I don't think I heard back then if what is reported is accurate, and I haven't heard anybody. I'll say this: I share Chair Moses's concerns that it's a real problem when somebody decides to go to the media and leak or break their the code of conduct that they signed or whatever. It's a problem. It could also be a problem of the process, that somebody on that committee felt so strongly that this is what they did. If you read that article, and I read it many, many times, it was not, in my view, an article. By the way, the article said that there was, if I read the article correctly, it said there was more than one source. It did not talk about these sources coming to the paper because they didn't get the candidates that they wanted. It talked a lot about the processes that were happening. I voted on a process. I didn't vote on a secret ballot. I would ask the people who said that they were parts of searches before, when you sat in a room and you talked about the candidates, did you do it through a secret ballot?
They were voted on a secret ballot.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm not crazy about that because I believe that the members of the committee should be, if accountable to anybody, to us as a board. I would love to know, it would be very valuable information to me to know how people voted. Not in order to single anybody out, but I would like to know, hey, this candidate was really favored by, we have different groups represented on the committee for a reason. You know, if somebody was really favored by Group A and not favored by Group B, I'd like to understand what that's all about. So I don't like that part, and I didn't vote on that part of the process. Finally, I agree with former trustee Barry very strongly that, and the chair said it as well, that the committee has been compromised. No one's talking about scrapping the search. Of course, that's crazy. We are talking about, if we're talking about anything, would be about the board taking back this process at this point and how we move forward from there. I don't see at this point any use in this committee reconvening to continue its work. The person who, or people who went to the newspaper, they're still on this committee. And unless there's going to be some sort of FBI investigation to find out who they are, they're going to remain on the committee. And I don't know how you sit back in a room and have that kind of process. So I would be in favor of dissolving this committee and we as a board doing what we are constitutionally entrusted to do, which is take this process. The committee has made recommendations. I don't think it needs to go any further. We can take this process from here. That's our job. As far as I'm concerned, under our bylaws and our statutes, one could argue it's the most important part of our job. And I think that we have a responsibility to check it and take it back. That's all I have for now, Chair.
I do want to say something, because now we're being transparent and we have the public here. Many months ago, we've heard trustees say we have to have an Arabic president at the college. We've heard trustees advocate publicly, and there's proof of that, to say that they want an Arabic president. So why would a trustee, who is entrusted to be fair, push for an Arabic president when there is a process to go to or to go through and allow it to take place? At the end of the day, we want the best qualified candidate for our kids, for our students. Why would we want to say that we want an Arabic president? The article that was published is meant to pressure and test this board. And some of the board members are kind of being fearful. They're not passing the test. And we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, the public will be able to make judgments. If you dissolve this advisory committee, and because trustees who want an Arabic president, then you're doing disharm to the integrity of this board. If the candidate they wanted would have been picked, we would not have such a question. We would not have such a problem. As far as the secret ballot that people talk about, no one wants to, there is faculties, there's relationships, no one wants to vote openly on who they voted for or who they're voting for. They want to be able to vote with confidence, with the privacy that they want. There's also a lot of pressure from the community to say, somebody voted for this person, but they didn't vote for this person. People want, that's our electoral system, is we vote in privacy, anonymously. For you to see how somebody voted so you could hold them accountable, that doesn't make sense. For me, it just baffles my mind. So I just don't want this board to go along with a process, to dissolve or the board to take a dictatorship role in handling the selection. People trusted us to, there's a bargaining unit agreement on who should be on the committee. There's people from the faculty, there's different people. We agreed to these things and we entrusted just because somebody breached the trust, that gives you the option to take away a fair process. So I would totally be against it.
Can we move on to the next item on the
Yeah,
agenda?
let's go on, unless Trustee Muzza wants to talk.
I just follow up to trustees are, the person, whomever that person leaked that information to the press, it's inexcusable. They have so many avenues. They could have came to the board. I mean, they were entrusted with this process for it to be confidential. Going to the press or breaking that honor code is just inexcusable for me. And it's very, very unfortunate. So I am not in favor of dissolving the committee at this time. I believe we entrusted this committee to do its work. There could be shortcomings where the board could direct the committee to figure out those shortcomings, but I'm not in favor of dissolving the committee altogether.
Okay, so given that, let's probably move to having a motion to accept the 9 candidates for the 9 recommended semifinal candidates provided to us. So is there a motion?
I move to accept and vote on the recommended semifinalist candidate list for the presidential search.
And I will second that.
Opposed.
Roll call
Well,
or
Discussion?
Discussion.
there's supposed to be, you ask for opposition and then discussion, or objection.
Not opposition.
Yeah, objection, you
Just
can ask for
discussion.
objections or discussion. You can't just
Do
go
we-
straight to a roll call.
do we continue with the vote or is there discussion? Help me out, Mayor.
You can ask for a discussion.
Robert's rules say
Yes.
discussion first and then you vote.
Go ahead. Trustee Zar?
Yeah, so I don't, in my opinion, I don't think that we are in a position to do that tonight. In fact, I think there's a lot more questions to be asked and answered. I'd also like to assert a point of personal privilege. I assume you're referring to me when you made these actually false comments a few minutes ago about saying, if you're referring to me, they were false, about somebody saying they want an Arab president. I've never said that, if you're referring to me. I've never said that. I've never said that in a meeting. I've never said that in a group of people publicly. I'll tell you what I have said. I have said that I think there's chances to make history with hiring a minority in this position because of what our community looks like. That's never been the case in this position. I don't think race is irrelevant. I think it tells a lot about a person's story and can mean a lot to the students when they see someone who comes from their or similar background in a position of leadership. And we don't have to prove that these persons would be qualified, because of course minorities have as many qualified people as everybody else. I don't think that we are prepared tonight to approve a list. In my opinion, when you end up, and I'm not using any names, but again, if the article is correct, and I haven't heard anybody say that anything that was said, that was reported journalistically in that article was false. And I share, by the way, Trustee Mozip's position that it's inexcusable. I do. But that doesn't mean we don't still further delve into why something like this would happen. I don't think it's as simple as somebody didn't get the candidate that they wanted. I give people, especially people that decided to be on this committee, I will give them much more credit than that. Doesn't mean it's right.
there's any more discussion, because the motion's been
Yeah.
called and seconded.
Any more
so it
discussions?
needs to go to vote.
Well, I'm not done speaking. If you would like to call the question, you can get a majority of the people to call the question.
Yeah, okay, I thought you were, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, you stopped, so we
Yeah.
thought you.
Okay, I'm
were-
sorry. I'm sorry. I was just pausing. I have a lot of thoughts, and I want to make sure I say them responsibly. To me, there is a problem of, on the reported list that was put on the list that we're considering, a problem with representing the community effectively. And when that happens, you do ask questions. And it's my opinion that we have a problem there. But it's also my opinion, and I'll call for it now, that we enter a closed session under the Open Meetings Act.
Cannot.
You can't, we already have a motion on, and
Yeah,
a
we have
second
to
on
finish
the.
the
You can
motion.
enter closed session during a motion,
Based on what?
based on the fact that we would want to discuss names that are, if you want, we can just defeat the motion and then go back to closed session, but, or go back and then ask for open session, but you can ask for open session during consideration of a motion.
I would like a legal opinion
Yeah.
about
Okay.
your trying to override the motion.
I'm not trying to override the motion. I want to go into closed session to discuss the motion.
The motion has already been seconded.
That doesn't matter.
If there is a need to go into closed session in order to have the discussion as to what this vote is, that is permissible under the Open Meetings Act, which in this case could be subsection F or subsection H, then we can go and the board can go into closed session. Because if the discussion is going to violate the OMA, and the sections I cited were, one, to discuss an employment decision, which you all are doing, and two, to receive a legal opinion. You all may go into closed session for that purpose if the discussion calls for that. That's one option. The other option is you could suspend the vote or essentially get out of this vote if you wanted to, and then still call for closed session. But closed session is permissible.
Okay.
Permissible based on a certain need.
Yes.
Yeah. so
It is
what-
allowable under the Open Meetings Act.
What's the need to go into a session in the middle of a motion? What's the need? Right now, we are not talking about individuals.
Yeah, but I want to. So I want to go into a closed session to do that.
That is permissible.
Well, let him call it, you have to have a 2/3 majority.
Okay.
Okay. So, because we're talking about a list, and I want to discuss, under section F, that would be correct?
Yes.
Okay. Under section F, I'd like to make, I'd like to make a motion right now that we enter closed session to discuss the motion on the table.
Well, you'd be,
Or just go straight to voting?
no.
Okay.
What
Or
you-
just call for it, I don't make a motion?
It's fine.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Is okay what I did?
It is.
Okay. So, yeah.
And he needs a second.
Right.
It does.
I'll second.
And
So
now you need a
Now we need
two-thirds
a roll
vote.
call.
Got a call.
Okay. And it's correct that this needs 2/3?
Two-thirds vote.
So that'd be 4 out of 6. Okay. Trustee Bezzi.
Yes.
Trustee Mosip.
Yes.
Trustee Pelichkov.
No.
Trustee Subah.
Yes.
Trustee Zahar, yes. Trustee Al-Jahmi.
No.
Okay. So that's 4 yeses.
The motion's passed to
Yeah,
go
it's
into
your job
closed
to say the
session.
motion passed.
So the motion's passed, so we go into a closed session. We're starting back the open session. Before we go any further, I just want to mention that Dr. Gonko had mentioned earlier she had an event and she had to leave. She was just showing up to give support to the process. So thank you for reminding me, trustees. So we have a motion on the table that was moved by Trustee Petlikoff and supported by me. And right now, we want to do, which is, just to recap, which is to move the recommendation of the 9 candidates for the semifinals interview. So could we get a roll call on?
Well, point of order, we could still have some discussion right now, as long as we're not doing anything that has to be done in closed session. Correct?
If you still
Yes.
have further discussion, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, mine's very brief, is that, you know, I think that if this motion passes, that we are not serving our community in a way that represents it correctly, so I'll be voting no.
Okay, so call the roll calls
The
if you don't
trustee,
mind.
Chair, are you still going to mention that any board member can bring a name further on Monday
Well, I was told not to.
by council?
When we were talking upstairs, they said it's best to leave it alone. I think what you're, just to help clarify what you want me to say is, the board has the option to, you know, whether it's Monday, to be able to add people based on, you know, full vote, you know, two-third board vote to add an additional
No,
person.
that would just be majority. Point of
Majority.
order, that would just be majority.
Sorry, majority vote, which is on Monday. So that was something that we were going to discuss, but they do have the authority to be able to add somebody by a majority vote. So roll call, please.
Trustee Bezzi.
Yes.
Trustee Moser.
Yes.
Trustee Pelichkov.
Yes.
Trustee Subah.
Yes.
Trustee Zahar, no. Chair Al-Jahmi.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So motion's passed to move the 9 candidates to the semifinal interview. So anything else that we need to discuss? I think we're good. So if nothing else, no other business, motion to adjourn.